Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Divine Eye Racing. We've got round two here tonight here at Spa-Francorchamps here in Belgium. One of the most iconic and beloved circuits in Formula One, known for its breathtaking scenery, relentless challenges, and Spa always does deliver some drama. So tonight we've got Division 1 racing, as I mentioned, at round two. Promising to be no different, really, to our usual tracks or usual events that we have here in Spa. We've got some high-speed straights, tricky corners, and usually some unpredictable weather, which usually tends to spice things up. So it is a favorite amongst the fans and the drivers that it is a testing circuit here. So we already do have a couple of people out on track. Good evening, Tonga. W in the chat from the steps as well. So welcome back, everyone. For round two, we've got the first driver out on track, Cutthroat, who is still on the controller. Needs to get some new pedals for his rig. So last week we saw him kind of struggling a little bit on Nathan F1 Racer Smith. Come on, how you doing? Welcome, Harland. How you doing? Started from the back tonight, Harland. We know this is one of your favorite tracks, as you mentioned, and I'm expecting a performance from you out there tonight. But we are going to stay on board with Cutthroat, as hopefully he can kind of make amends for his poor showing last week. We know that he is quite a quick driver when he can kind of string things together, and hopefully tonight will be that night. As a Dutchie himself, he'll be well aware. This is Nathan. Welcome. It's Nate Smith. How's it going, man? You didn't cost us the constructors, man. I mean, it is what it is. But we're gonna go on board with Cutthroat here as he's hurling down in towards turn one, a tricky corner to get right. I mean, you see a lot of people kind of doing that little drift, and he seems to hook it up quite nicely, not opting to use any overtake out of that corner as we go through this tricky, iconic corner section here of Eau Rouge and Radion down the straight here. DRS open, still not opting to use any overtake, so perhaps saving it for the little end bit of the lap. And this is chicane where you can really kind of cut this inside. It does go a little bit wide there, doesn't quite hook it up, but still perhaps trying to get used to the track conditions at the moment. Bit of a reconnaissance lap perhaps. And we do have a little bit of overcast settings here tonight, so perhaps some rain to come in this session or later on during the race. Oh, and he's invalidated, unfortunately, through that corner, that section of corners there. We're going to go on board with Yuri now in the Ferrari this season. We know he's got some pace. I think it was a P2 or P2 finish for him last race out in Brazil. A track that he doesn't like, but hopefully these tracks here be able to show his true pace that we know Yuri is so quick indeed. But he's got a purple first sector so far. Bit of a lock-up coming into that corner down there, but nice little lift, keeps it within the track limits there. And this is a tricky section. We've got Kaka setting the pace at the moment, top of the timesheets for the 44.1. Kaka has been driving very well indeed so far. Oh, Shermanator now going to the top with a third 43.7. So Shermanator's definitely been showing some really good pace here this season so far, and hopefully he continues to do so with the race conditions as well. Purple middle sector for Yuri, coming all the way down this back straight now. Not a huge amount of hot lap left, ERS mode left, so he will be perhaps derating towards the end of it. Let's see if he's able to hook up this final chicane nicely. Doesn't cut a huge amount of the inside, but perhaps just wanting to get a first lap time on the board. A little bit of a squirm on the exit as well. Comes at the line, he goes quickest with a 43.2. Duke Sekar as well. An unknown driver for him. I think he is reserving tonight. Goes P2 so far, and Touchkey as well in the Alpine going P3. We're going to go on board with the steps coming across the line shortly. Quite hesitant in that last chicane. Used up all of his deployment and he goes P3 on the medium tires, so still maybe a couple of tenths at least, I'd say, once he sticks on some soft tires. Just a little bit of a reconnaissance lap, seeing how the car is feeling, making sure everything is all right. And we had Sparrow and Divine Eye setting some times there with 44.4 and a 44.9 respectively. We got Haaland is retired in the pits, so no time set for him. On board with Paddy now. Paddy was a bit unfortunate picking up wing damage in the early stages of the last lap here in Brazil, or in Brazil last week. And hopefully he's able to have a little bit more success this time around here in Spa. Mounting a title challenge, hopefully, this season. As I mentioned last week in our races, that our teams are very well put together. Composition-wise, we've got a quick driver and a little bit of a slower driver in each team. And Paddy goes P4 with a 33.5. So the steps actually, with that medium tire run that he's done so far, setting up very, very competitive time. Only a couple of tenths off of pole position. So once he sticks on some soft tires, I'd imagine that he will improve massively. And Alavriadis goes P12 on the hard tire. I'm not sure why he's doing a hard tire run, but each to their own. Maybe wanted to just warm up into it a little bit. On board with Jazz Baraz now. Keeping well within track limits through that sequence of corners. In the Mercedes this season, teammate is Paddy, of course. He's got nearly a full deployment of battery here, so hot lap using the overtake now all the way down this back straight. Will be gaining a huge amount of time, and hopefully he's able to keep it nice and tidy through the last chicane. He's used up all of his deployment now, so we'll be derating. A little hesitant there as well again. Driver's not really wanting to risk too much at this early stage. And he goes P15 at the moment. Go on board with Oluwarichi, who unfortunately last race secured pole position, but unfortunately got kicked out of the session, so he was not able to hop back into his car. But Oluwarichi, a Division 2 driver from last season, making his mark here in Division 1 in these early days. That looked like a very nice turn one indeed. A little bit of overtake to boost and get that acceleration up. And let's see what he can do. Hopefully keep it nice and tidy through this section. That was very clean. Oh, I was just about to say that was very clean. Commentator's courtesy just invalidated, unfortunately. We'll go on board with Tonga, who you know obviously has some great pace in qualifying. Keeps it nice and tight on that inside line, minimizing the distance. Hopefully he's able to cut this chicane. Does a pretty good job of it. A little bit hesitant on the exit, but purple sector 1 nonetheless. Ooh, bit of a slide into that corner, but gets some good rotation on the exit. He opts to brake on there, and he goes off track, unfortunately, so that will be an invalidation. Naismith, unfortunately, has not set a lap time. He's invalidated his lap as well. And we'll be on board with Mihu, who has yet to set a time so far. Very nice section through there. Cutthroat has done 4 laps on 1 set of soft tires, so I'm not entirely sure what that's about. You've got, I think, 3 sets in the garage, 3 fresh sets they're able to utilize during this short qualifying session, and 1 set of mediums as well. And of course the hard tires, as Alavriades has shown us already. A little bit onto the grass there from Mihu. But this is looking like a decent lap. I'd imagine he'd be able to put himself in the middle of the pack somewhere. He's able to keep it tidy. So plenty of battery left to use, and he's opting not to use it at this moment in time. Just hot lap mode at the moment. I think some drivers need to perhaps touch up a little bit on where they can use their deployment. There you go, he's used all of his deployment already. Coming to the final chicane now, and where does that bring him? P8, very solid lap indeed from Mihu into the 43s. And on board with Yuri, he's up by 1.5 at the moment. We know Yuri loves his top speed kind of setups, so I'd imagine he'd be running close to 0-0 wings. And Kakagos improves into a 43.1, but at the moment, and Duke actually beats that. Duke bests that with a 43.0, but Yuri is at the moment is about 5 tenths up on his current time, coming to the final chicane. And let's see if he's able to keep this tidy. That looks a lot better than his first run. Some very good traction coming out on the exit there. And look at that, 7 tenths between himself and Duke in P2. So very solid lap from Yuri there. And the steps now does improve on his first soft tire run, so into the 43 zeros, very close, 5 thousandths of a second between himself. Oh, sorry, 15 thousandths of a second between himself and Duke in P2. So that is going to be a very tight battle for the front row. I'd imagine that time from Yuri is going to be very hard to beat indeed. Oh, as Mihu has unfortunately had a little bit of a moment, going backwards at the moment. Perhaps not wanting to, yeah, there we go, be able to face the right direction now, and hopefully no disqualification for him. On board with Divine Eye now. Opening DRS, going to be wanting to try and get up a little bit further up the grid in order to support his teammate Yuri in the bid for the constructors. Of course, we do have some prize money on offer for first, second, and third in the constructors, as well as the drivers' championship as well. And it's looking like it's going to be a very, very competitive fight the whole season through for the constructors and drivers' championship, as we do have a number of drivers who excel on their particular tracks, and will be able to pick up some very solid points, I would imagine, through the variety of tracks. We've got 16 tracks on offer here in Division 1 this season, so it will be a long old season and plenty of opportunities for different race winners. We've got Divine Eye up by about 3.5 tenths at the moment on his time, and that's looking like it will catapult him just one position at the moment, but hopefully he can have a tidy final chicane as well. Maybe gain a little bit more time. Very nice cut on the first corner there. Does not invalidate, keeps it tidy, and does go up one position into P12. On board now with Tonga, who's yet to set a lap. 14-4 split at the end of Sector 2. That looks like a purple Sector 3. I'm not sure if that's just a visual bug or if it's actual representation of what his time is at the moment, but looking like a tidy lap so far, that's for sure, from Tonga. Hopefully his final chicane is nice and tidy. good amount of speed carried into that first one. Traction not the best, but does go into a P3 position, so very solid lap indeed. First run anyways from Tonga. So we're on board with Oliver Ritchie now, definitely going to be wanting to challenge for a top 5 spot. And this is going to be his only run, so he's definitely going to want to try and keep it as tidy as possible. 14.5, so I believe that was about where Tonga was, so he's looking at a potential top 4 finish at the moment. He's a tidy chicane, as I've said many times. The chicane is where you can really gain and lose a lot of time on this track. Despite it being such a long lap, and that first corner looks very good indeed. Some decent traction on the exit, does get a little bit of a bump, and P4 it is for Oliver Ritchie at the moment, as things stand. And we have drivers making their ways out of the pit lane. Got lots of traffic on the track at the moment, as we have mini turns who seems to have DNF at the end of the Kemmel Straight. If I can hop on board with Oliver Ritchie. Yeah, the car was just ahead there, so unfortunately we didn't see the car, but I believe there is a couple of cars on a hot lap behind Oliver Ritchie here, so maybe he's able to hopefully get out of the way. Yep, that was Kaka on a hot lap. Oh, this is out lap. Apologies. This is Kaka's out lap, but it's got about 57 seconds to make it towards the line, so he's having to push quite a bit right now. Go on board with Yuri for his final run in qualifying. He's already down to about 50% and using a little bit more on the exit there. So down to about 40% so far on his battery. Let's see what kind of a sector 1 is looking like. He's up by 1/10 at the moment, so these fresh softs working very nicely from Yuri, and that looks like a very nicely hooked up sequence of corners there. Yuri looking to push the boundaries even further, and I actually missed that Tuchki. Tuchki has actually secured himself a P2 position at the moment. Oh, and Yuri just invalidating there on the exit of that corner. So no improvement for him. It's down to everyone else, see if they can kind of knock him off the perch of pole position at the moment in time. Tuchki, bottoming out there and invalidating his lap, unfortunately. Go on board with Duke, who seems to be quite quick at the moment, and bit of a lockup going a little bit wide there. Hopefully he doesn't lose a huge amount of time, but nonetheless it's going to bother. We wanted to have a strong recovery throughout the last half of the track. Very nice section there. You can see which drivers are running a little bit more downforce and which aren't, and I think Duke is running a very, that was just about within the track limits there. Up by about half a tenth at the moment, which would perhaps has a chance of catapulting him into P4. But Duke hopefully can have a tidy last chicane, as I've said many times. A little bit of a lockup, a little bit of a slide, a bit of an oversteer moment. And I don't think this will be an improvement for Duke. And lost about 3/10 in that final corner there, unfortunately. On board with Kaka. Now, he has had some pace through the early parts of this season so far. Let's see what he can do. Coming up to the line. A little bit of a lockup. Very nice second part of the chicane there. Let's see what he does. Unfortunately, he does improve, but only good enough for P8 at the moment. And I believe that is it. So we've got Yuri taking pole position here in Spa, followed by Tuchki, a very solid lap from him. Just one lap on the board where he was able to put in a 42.7. Tonga securing P3. Oliver Ritchie in P4. So we got 4 different constructors in the top 4, followed by the 2 Racing Bulls, the Steps, and Duke in P5 and 6. So looking for a solid points haul. But as we move on to the race, that's where the points are paid for. That's where the points are paid. So obviously 22 laps to come here in Spa. Plenty of different strategy options you can kind of take. I mean, typically we would see a soft to medium, medium to soft. Hard tires aren't really used unless there is a safety car, of course, early on. But I'm excited to see. But there we have it. There, those are your qualifying standings. Holland, of course, opting to start from the back of the grid will be interesting to see where he ends up in the race. We know he's got the pace. Nice sunshine here in Fra. For, what was that? I have no idea what that was. Nice sunshine here in Spa for for our race so far. We've got our drivers obviously making any last adjustments to strategy, fuel, of course, configuring their strategies for the race ahead. But yeah, usually always Spa tends to bring out a very good race from the drivers. Of course, you've got that long DRS straights, the Kemmel straight, of course, which is the best overtaking opportunity. We should see perhaps some DRS trains. People are kind of able to stick nice and close together, which could make it a little bit difficult to overtake on track. I mean, a lot of the overtaking would best be done. I mean, obviously, if you're stuck in a DRS train, you're going to be wanting to consider an undercut, maybe even an overcut for an overcut strategy-wise to try and get out of that train, get in some free air, and make use of those fresher tires. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. 10 people watching at the moment. We've got the race just around the corner. Torn right rotator cuff, third tear in 2 years. You expect me to be right at the back? Oh, that sounds painful. Painful. I'm not gonna lie. All the best in your healing process, mate. I know that's a difficult injury to have. But yeah, thanks for showing up anyways. Thanks for participating. It's all about the long game. Of course, we've got 16 races this season, so if you can secure some points, of course, we know points are paid up until I believe P16 in this league. So, yeah, if you can secure some points, then that's all that matters, really. As we've got our drivers setting off for the formation lap, warming up their tires, hopefully not um, having any issues like we had last week. And it looks like well, we've got one hard tire runner, which is Holland, right at the back, which is a very, very good option for him. But top 4 opting to go for the medium tire, followed by 2 soft runners right behind. So I'd imagine these medium tires runners won't be fighting too hard with these 2 soft guys behind, followed by Paddy as well. We know he is a stickler for those medium tires. Kaka on the softs, Rios on the mediums, Mihu on the softs as well, followed by 5 medium runners. And yeah, I'm excited for this one. Hopefully we get some really close racing. throughout, and a big nice DRS train. Let's hope for that, so that other factors of strategy can come into play. Hopefully as well, not too many safety cars. We know that in this league we can have a number of different safety cars throughout the race, but let's hope that we get some nice clean racing throughout the 22 laps we have. Oh, as Yuri goes for a little bit of a spin trying to warm up his tires. Those will definitely warm them up in an interesting way, but last time out in Spa, I believe it was Tonga who caused a turn 1 incident. So that was last season, towards the back end of last season. Hopefully this season he's able to learn from his mistakes and keep it a little bit cleaner. It's turn 1, not causing any contact. Extreme Spain, Brazil race owners here at Dira are class. I could not agree more. Definitely one of the friendliest and most welcoming leagues I've ever been a part of. And it's a pleasure as always to host and commentate on the Division 1 races. A little bit of a couple of burnouts for Tonga. Trying to warm up those rear tires, as those are so crucial in that first phase off the line. And Rios has unfortunately overshot his pit box. And we've got Yuri already pointing towards the left of the track, just wanted to cover off Touchkey. So I love that. I love a bit of defensive kind of positioning so far early on. But as we're getting ready to race here around Spa, 3, 4, 5 red lights, and we are go for round 2 here in Divine Eye Racing. And it's a good start from Yuri. Tonga as well, able to tuck in. Couple of position changes already. Steps was able to gain up 1 position on Tonga, who is already trying to fight back, actually holding up to stay behind at the moment. But as we make our way through here, this section at the moment, loads of people using that overtake. The Steps really wanted to get into the lead at the moment. He's on the soft tires, so you can imagine why. Very close wheel-to-wheel racing there. And we do have Yuri, who's able to hold position at the moment from the Steps. Wanted to make use of those soft tires, down to 36% battery at the moment. But biggest winner so far, we have Mini Turns, who's up 5 positions already. Haaland up 5 positions as well. So let me go on board with him really quickly. He wanted to get past his teammate perhaps. Oh, a little bit of a lag moment there. A little bit wide from the teammate in front, Alvariadis. A little bit of a send early on and gets past his teammate very nicely indeed. So up 6 positions now, already on the first half of the lap for Haaland. Kaka racing with Olarichi now, opting not to fight it too much. He realizes that Kaka is on the softer tires, so wanting to hold position and maybe work together a little bit. This is something that we don't see a huge amount of. Oh, as we see Tonga overshooting the corner just a little bit. Does get some good traction at the end of it, and that's Touchkey in front of him. A little bit of a switch back from Kaka. Lovely move there. Does not kind of make the move stick at the moment, but nonetheless, some very good racing indeed. Touchkey has lost DRS for the cars in front, so this should be an easy move from Tonga in order to repass him and hopefully reconnect that DRS train as well. Shermanator now wanting to make the move on Rios. Up into P8 now. Look at that whole host of cars behind him. Nice braking into that corner. Marios, I believe, went off track there, so that will be a track limits warning for him. Fighting all over the shop at the moment. Oh, a little bit of an issue there for Duke, I believe. Dropped a couple of positions now, or just 1 position actually from his starting place. Sherminator, but the front two have broken away now, so there's a 1.2 second gap to Tonga, who's behind in P3 at the moment. And we'll go back to the tire delta at the moment, or tire choices. So the Steps, making use of the soft tires, and able to jump up a couple of positions into P1, leading the race at the moment. And we have gaps now of over 1 second between the top 3 to 5 at the moment. So Olorichi perhaps wanted to get within that DRS. It is crucial to, of course, stay in the DRS of the car in front. Fastest lap for the Steps, of course, with the use of DRS, and I believe that was Holland making another move yet again. And Paddy, unfortunately, is into the pits already. So has he picked up some wing damage? Yes, he has. That is 2 consecutive races of wing damage for Paddy, so really unfortunate there for him. And are we going to see Yuri and the Steps work together in order to kind of create a little bit of a gap to the cars behind? I would imagine we'd see Kaka, yep, Kaka getting past Olorichi nice and easy. And Divine Eye was able to make the move on mini turns as well. Trying to manage each gap individually. Holland's now on the back of Marios on those hard tires, so he's had a very, very good start indeed, down from P20, I believe it was. Very lovely move there, keeps it within track limits. Marios not opting to fight that too hard. He knows Holland's pace is very, very scary indeed when he gets it going. One thing I will say from Olorichi is managing the race very nicely indeed, not fighting too hard with the quicker cars on the softer tires in front of him. A long way to go as we got our first time penalty picked up. That is DRL Naismith at the back, unfortunately. Racing with an injury tonight, unfortunately, so perhaps won't be the most accurate as we are used to seeing him being. As I mentioned with Olorichi, just kind of biding his time here, not fighting too hard in this opening stint, and we should see Kaka now perhaps making a move on Touchkey. He's gone a little bit wider on that corner, using a bit of ERS to try and stay within the DRS of the car in front of him. He has managed to do so. Really all over the back of the Steps now. Shouldn't need to use any ERS in order to get past, and they're working together very nicely indeed. That's Holland now, up into P9, going side by side, a little bit of a lock up on both cars, but nicely done from Holland there, and I believe Sherminator lost another position as well, so really going to need to kind of regain some composure and get back into the rhythm of things in order to accelerate himself up the grid. The front two working very nicely together in Touchkey. Oh, unfortunately picking up a time penalty for his woes of going off the track. So 3 track limits penalties within the first 4 laps. Looks like he's struggling with the balance at the moment through sector 2. Has made a move past Duke as well, so already up 13 positions in 4 laps for Holland. This is unheard of, and we know this is one of his favorite tracks. So as we see Touchkey into the pit, so has he picked up some damage somewhere? It'll be interesting to see. And our fastest lap for Holland, I believe that was. Touchkey into the pits. And he is getting wing change, so slight damage. There wasn't any visible damage there. We believe we did see a couple of other drivers pick up some penalties. I believe Sparrow picking up 10 seconds. I'm not sure what that was for. Yep, top 2 working together very nicely indeed. And Olorichi passing Kaka as well. Trying to catapult himself onto the back of Tonga. quite wide there, so losing a couple positions there from mini turns. And Tonga is picking up a time penalty as well now, so time penalties could play a key part in the overall standings at the end of this race. Of course, that 3 seconds is going to be really difficult to contend with if the car behind is within that 3 seconds, so you will lose that position on track. Or after post-race penalties, should I say. And Holland now on the back of this group of cars. Perhaps wanted to save a little bit of his battery. Nope, he is using a little bit of a hot lap mode to try and make this move done on Kaka. And he's going to get 2 in 1. Is he going to get 2 in 1? Yes, he does get 2 in 1. And I believe he has secured DRS as well. So all the way up into P4 for Holland now. Although Richie's going to really want to try and stay on the back here. He has got the use of ERS. As we see Holland flashing in front of him, so he is down below that 10% mark at the moment, or just above it. But he will be losing a lot of straight line speed. And I'd imagine we can see Ola Richie, if he wants to, repass him here. And nope, he is opting to stay behind, so that is a bit of an odd one there from Ola Richie. Wanting to work together, but at the moment you are still on the faster compounded tires. Those medium tires will be faster, or just about on the crossover at the moment in time between hards and mediums. But he knows that Holland perhaps, of course, is the faster driver, so wants to tow him along into the DRS of Tonga in front of him, who is does have that time penalty at the moment. Getting the move done even before the chicane here, wasting no time. He knows that Holland's on the charge, he knows that he's closing up, so he wants to be that lead car. Although Richie, I believe, has secured the DRS, but he had a poor chicane and was unable to stay within the DRS of the car ahead of Holland. As we see Duke into the pits now, what tire is he going to opt for? I'd imagine that will be the hard tire from here on out. Kind of risky taking that early pit stop, but obviously with the risk of safety cars. And he goes on to the hard tire. You see the steps re-overtaking Yuri now, who is stuck behind and will kind of be a little bit frustrated. He does know that Holland is chasing him down every corner. The kind of time is getting less and less, down to 1.6, 1.5 I'd imagine soon. There we go, 1.5. And Tonga is dragging, or he's dragging Tonga along really nicely indeed. So Tonga perhaps wanted to stay. Oh, as he picks up another warning there for sure, off the back of that corner. And we've got a tight-knit group behind of Jan and Kaka. They're just following along nicely. Shermanator wanted to try and get a little bit closer to the cars in front, but of course we could see some undercut situations happening very, very shortly. Once you get to that halfway mark, about 10 laps in is when those softs are really starting to scream and cry. We've already seen Holland on the back of this top group now, on those hard tires, and the steps is now into the pits off those medium off those soft tires. So 6 laps were all it took, 7 laps sorry was all it took for the steps to get off of those tires. Are we going to see a new race leader? I'd imagine so. hot lap mode enabled, and that is a very easy pass for Holland. Is he going to work together with Yuri now, or is Holland going to absolutely drop him? That is one thing I really want to know. Sparrow now making the move on Cutler, who is still struggling, it seems, on that controller that he's using at the moment. It is definitely difficult to kind of go from a wheel and pedal situation, a rig setup, to a controller, or to return to a controller where a lot of us have started racing. And Holland's already kind of dropped Yuri at the moment. It's up to 1 second. Is he going to deploy a bunch of energy? Oh, and Yuri picks up a time penalty just on the exit of that corner there. So 2 of the top 3 now have a time penalty, and that's allowed Tonga to kind of creep back in to the DRS of the car ahead. Jan is actually quietly having a very, very good race indeed. Up 9 positions from where he started. That is definitely some solid work early on in this first stint of the race. I mean, we have seen some cars pit already, but regardless, that goes without saying that Jan is doing a fantastic job. Kaka still on these soft tires, so that I'd imagine they'd be pretty much near towards the end of their life at the moment. And we are seeing a change for P2. Tonga up into P2 now, and Yuri. This is a battle for position on track, of course, both drivers having a 3-second time penalty. So this is a straight shootout on track for position. See Cutthroat, Sparrow, and the Steps. The Steps will be losing quite a bit of time here behind these 2 cars. Of course, he did pit, and we definitely know Sparrow and Cutthroat won't be looking to let him pass quite easily, but he needs to pick his moments very carefully here, when to overtake. But of course, on the fresher tires, going to want to make use of them as best as he can. Look at just how much he is gaining through the corners, really. Bit of a send into that corner, a little bit of a touch onto Cutthroat ahead of him. But Sparrow opts to flatten of the day. Ooh, big send into that corner. Bit of an awkward one, but there we go. The Steps now wanting to make a move on Cutthroat side by side, and he definitely gets ahead there. It's Cutthroat now tucks into the slipstream, and we see Olor Ritchie and Kaka into the pits together. So wanting to work together in order to kind of catapult themselves into a little bit of an undercut on the cars around them. And medium tires for Kaka. I'd imagine they will be the same. No, hard tires for Olor Ritchie. So Olor Ritchie is definitely going to have a little bit more pace towards the end of the stint, and the Steps has managed to get out in front of him. So once again, proving that the undercut is incredibly powerful around here. And we see Kaka now behind his teammate. I imagine his teammate's not going to fight this a huge amount, and he does not. Yuri sticking on very nicely to Tonga, the car ahead, and Holland's already built that gap up to about 3 seconds, 2.9. So barring any safety cars, I'd imagine that we can see a runaway winner here tonight in round 2 of Divine Eye Racing. But we do know safety cars are quite common in this league. As Tonga just lets him pass. That was a bit of an odd one. Perhaps wanting to box opposite of Yuri. Nope, it's continuing on. And we're going to see Olor Ritchie coming up to the back of Cutthroat very shortly indeed, and Shermanator is now into the pits. Very nice to slow down just about in time in order to avoid a time penalty. Those 10-second penalties are absolutely killer this season, or this year's game. And what tires are we going to go see him go on to? Hard tires. A number of drivers into the pits now as well. Alabriadis, Cutthroat, Divine, no, continuing on. Mihu as well. But it's time to pit for these two guys here. You can see how much time Yuri's losing actually to Tonga in front of him. He's definitely going to want to get out in some free air. As you can see, Tonga struggling on the traction there with a bit of traction moments, oversteering moments. Yeah, he's definitely not too comfortable on these tires at the moment. So an undercut is definitely going to be on the cards for one of these two drivers, if not both. Wanted to work together and then fight it out towards the latter stages of the race. In terms of pit stops, what are we looking at? Stops, so the top 5 yet to pit at the moment. Sparrow, of course, yet to pit, and Divine Eye as well in P12 yet to pit. Holland up 19 positions from where he started, so definitely a productive race for him so far. Jan having a very solid race as well, up 10. Biggest loser, unfortunately, Touchkey. He obviously had that wing damage and is down in P16 at the moment. Yuri and Tonga opted to keep going, so perhaps the soft tires on the cards for them, or wanting to wait perhaps a safety car chance that might come through, as Kaka sets the fastest lap with a 45.3, I believe that was. And we see another swap position between Yuri and Tonga. Paddy making a move past Divine Eye now. And by the time these these three pit, Tonga has had a little bit of an issue and unfortunately loses out the car, and I'm not sure if he picked up a penalty there, but I think it would have been a warning perhaps, as also Touchkey picked up a time penalty. So let's have a look at the penalty situation at the moment. Penalties. So quite a few drivers. There we go. Another one for Cutthroat as well. So penalties will definitely have a little bit of a factor as to where people kind of come out and end this race. I mean, we see Yuri into the box now, and Tonga follows him in as well. Jan also following him in. So Jan is now going to be on the back of Tonga coming out the pits, and Jan does not have a time penalty to contend with at the moment, and that will be a on-track race for position. When do we see Holland pit? Mini turns now picking up a time penalty, unfortunately. And Jan is going to be outside the DRS of the car heads. Tonga going to get a nice tow from his teammate, and that's the yellow flag. We see Touchkey retiring in the pits, unfortunately, so leaving the session as well, so he's had enough. I never want to say you do that, but I guess he's felt like his race was run and he wasn't going to get anything from tonight. I mean, we do see points positions being paid out for down to P16, I believe, in this league, so perhaps it would have been worth it to stay in, secure some points for the team, for the constructors, but Touchkey saw different, unfortunately. Very close battle on track at the moment. Oh, as Sparrow we see spun round. He's still on those 12 lap old medium, so perhaps that was a complete loss of traction as he nearly loses it as well. Oh, doesn't seem to be having a good time trying to control the car back onto track safely, rejoining safely, kind of in that situation there. But his tires will definitely be cooked, and he's definitely going to be wanting to come into the pits very, very soon. We see Holland coming out the box now. He's on some medium tires, so not opting to go for the softs, and he rejoins still in P1. He does have Marios right behind him. He's going to have the benefit of DRS, and we most likely see a pass now. The steps, wanted to make a move. He's going to have enough down the straight. No, he's not. See Rishi holding firm against Kaka now as well. These two working together very nicely indeed. They're going to keep swapping rounds. Of course, we see Yuri hunting them down very quickly indeed on those fresh softs. Or one lap old soft, should I say. But he's going to have some pace in these next couple of laps. He's going to be really wanting to kind of catapult himself around those two drivers, build up a little bit of a gap. Of course, he's got that 3-second penalty to contend with. So what can Yuri do here? He's already built a gap to Tonga behind him. And Tonga did have that little bit of a moment which caused that gap to be created. See Yuri closing in, securing DRS at the end of this lap. Doesn't look like it, but I'd imagine after turn 1 he will have the DRS. And we finally have Marios into the pits off those medium tires, 13 laps old. That was a fantastic first stint for him, and Yuri's picking up the fastest lap of the race with a 44.8 now. Completely out of ERS. Is he going to secure the DRS? I think he did. So that was key for his race. Now able to perhaps save a little bit of ERS while these two work together. Yep, working together very nicely indeed. And gets the move done before the chicane. So Holland absolutely running away with this one, unfortunately. Made his pit stop and still came out in the lead. What happened there, Touchski? I saw you picked up some damage, but how'd that happen? But yeah, definitely unfortunate for your race. I mean, to get into P2 at the start was for quali was fantastic. Oh, as we see, yellow flags. In sector 1, I believe that was, sector 2. Let's see if these drivers can kind of work together and close up the back of the steps now, who's got a little bit of a buffer, 3 seconds at the moment, and I don't believe has many warnings as well. 3.5 seconds to the steps. But if these drivers can use the DRS swapping, perhaps even let Yuri get through, use those fresher softs to his advantage. He sees a move going into turn 1, gives a big squeeze, and able to come out of that move fantastically well. So Yuri now going to be on the back of Kaka, while Richie still on the back of him, runs into the back of him actually. And as we see, Yuri does not have any ERS to play with, so an easy move from Ola Richie there. Able to get back into P4. Be wanting to save some ERS now, as he knows that Yuri behind is definitely going to be pushing him through the corners, as we see there. Wing damage bust up chicane. After that, my throttle input was stuck for some time, making overshoot corners. That is unfortunate. Yeah, we did see your pace drop off very dramatically, which is unfortunate, of course, and sorry to hear that. hopefully next race will be better. Yuri's getting a little bit impatient with the cars in front, wanting to make a move. He hasn't managed to save up a little bit of ERS this time around now, but he still has less than Oloa Richie at the moment. Divine Eye and mini turns picking up 3-second penalties there. Once again, we're going to see a move. Yes, we are. Is that 2 moves in 1? Ooh, just able to keep it. The second move done there. Not quite the second move done, but Yuri now has the DRS in the car ahead. Is he going to make a move? He's looking like he might, opting to stay behind for the moment. Almost outbraking himself, and we see Oloa Richie now thinking about it as well. Oloa Richie on those hard tires is going to have the better tires come the end of this race, so going to want to bide his time, save up some ERS, and make that move on both Yuri and Kaka towards the end. And is he gonna get squeezed out there? That was nearly quite dangerous there. Gets put offline a little bit by Yuri, but I'd imagine he'd be absolutely fine closing back up once again. We see Duke now getting past Shermanator. Shermanator going to want to be saving up ERS as well. He's got that 4-lap pressure tires, hard tires. And Paddy now picking up a time penalty for his roads. He's on that hard tire for 14 laps now, so the cars behind him will have tire advantage. But we do know the hard tires do go a long way. So the Steps is actually managing his gap, and Kaka goes off track there. Unfortunately, at 0 Naismith, retires in the pit, so tough luck there, Nathan, mate. Unfortunate for you. Hopefully you get a speedy recovery soon, man. And mini turns as well. That's a safety car. Mini turns DNFing on the exit of this corner here. I believe it was just on the left hand side there. Unfortunately, we didn't see the car, but that is Creed. Oh! Okay. We've seen Haaland get disqualified just now. I don't know what that was for. But that is absolutely throwing a cat amongst the pigeons now. Yuri on the soft tires behind the Steps. Interesting. What was that for, Haaland? What the fuck? Exactly, that's exactly what I'm thinking. What happened there? We've seen a bunch of drivers come into the pits now in order to get some fresh tires on. I think Shermanator is going to have a really fantastic run at securing some solid points here. Of course, we're going to see the pack bunch up now once again. We've got Tonga with a 3-second time penalty. And Tonga with 6 seconds now, actually. And Yuri with 3 seconds. So, of course, with the pack bunching up, there's not going to be many laps remaining in order to kind of gain that, that advantage back and build that gap. Tried to go in front of the safety car at the pit exits, and then got disqualified. Oof. Yeah, I'm not sure how close you were, unfortunately, but sounds like you might have wanted to stay behind the safety car in that instance. But I believe Miho did pick up a drive-through, unfortunately, for speeding under safety car conditions, so wasn't paying attention to a delta as well. But I'd imagine we're going to be seeing 2 or 3 laps of racing now, once everyone closes up back to the back of a safety car. But tire-wise, let's see what tires are looking at. So Duke could have a very good run here. Everyone in the top 6, of course, having worn tires. And Shermanator as well. Hopefully he's able to have a good run and finish a couple positions higher up, because he's looked decent all race. We know Jan's looked decent all race as well. So definitely some drivers worthy of some solid points in this race here tonight. as we see Holland leaving the session. Unfortunate for him. Very, very unfortunate indeed, as he was absolutely in control of that race. I mean, we saw him build up a nice big gap where he was able to pit and still come out in first place. So at least we know someone else is going to be winning the race. But unfortunate for him, of course, after putting in a lot of hard work in order to get to where he was. Out of the back, we see Jazz, so I'd imagine at the end of this lap the safety car will come in if Jazz is able to kind of close up by the end of sector 2. Perhaps, yeah, you should have enough time. Should have enough time. Yuri nearly running into the back of the steps there. I'm not sure if he did, so let's see if he gets a penalty for that. I believe that was very, very close indeed. And Jazz is nearly at the back of the safety car, or back of the pack for the safety car restart. Hopefully we don't have any lapped cars in the way. That would be very annoying indeed, but I don't believe so. I believe we've had pretty smooth running throughout up until this point. But at the end of sector 2 we should see that the safety car will be coming in at the end of this lap. There we go. Now the steps is going to have a really difficult time warming up those soft tires, but Yuri's raring to go behind him. Look at him. He wants to build that gap. What does he do? Does he go early? Does he go late? He's keeping a pretty good pace, so it seems that he might go pretty late on this one. I mean, I know I'd be going late. This looks to be going quite late as Yuri almost pulls up alongside him. Had a bit of an issue on the restart there, but Yuri stays within touching distance. Olorici just under a second behind. Bit of a send into turn 1 there from Tonga, I believe it was, and the Sherman there was all out of shape coming out of that corner there. But Yuri, are we going to see a move into or down the Camel Straight? Overtake on. And it looks like it should be a bit of a comfortable move. A little bit of a tap pushing him wide, and Yuri's now up into the lead of the race. Still able to hang within Yuri's 3 seconds at this moment. I mean, Yuri has a lot of work to do in order, if he wants to really kind of create that gap, that 3-second gap to win this race. So you see Cutthroat as well making a move past Marios. Oh, and Jan picks up a time penalty, unfortunately. He had a solid race up until that point, but just a little bit too much for him, unfortunately. And Tonga looking to perhaps make a move. We've got Duke behind on the fresher, medium tires. Oh, a little bit of a tap in the back of Tonga as well. And Paddy on those fresher softs, making a move past Shermanator as well now. It's going to be really key to see who's able to manage their battery appropriately for these last couple of laps. And Tonga down a position now. You see Duke flying past and Kaka flying past as well. Steps is doing a really good job hanging within that 3 seconds of Yuri at this moment. Of course, he's going to have DRS to help out with that as well. I believe we saw a move from Shermanator on Cutthroat. Going to go on board with the steps. Plenty of batting to contend with. Yuri's using all of his. He's down to 17% now. And this should be an easy move done for the steps. Look at that, absolutely flying past. Imagine we see Kaka, nope, opting not to, although Richie down to 0% or 10% as well. Jan, is he going to stay on track? Nope, not quite. So Tonga kind of pushing his way, and oh, bit of a slippery, hairy one there from Tonga, and Paddy is looking behind. Oh, bit of a tap, and that is not the kind of racing you want to see from Tonga, unfortunately. But Shermanator, it looks like he could pick up a couple of positions here if he's able to keep it tidy through these last couple of laps. The drivers around him have time penalties. But Duke has benefited the most from the safety car, of course. Opting to put on some soft, medium tires. It is now in P5. Oh, there was a big crash behind. I think Cutthroat was facing the wrong way and lost out a bunch of positions there, unfortunately. Ooh, bit of a moment there from Tonga, and they're faking a move down the inside there. Needs to keep it tidy. He is at the moment going up 3 positions. Just about enough space given there from Tonga. You can see Yuri making a move down the Camel Straight. This is the final lap of the race. Yuri will not be able to win this race, but he's building a nice gap to the cars behind. As we see Kaka moving up into P3 at the moment, so Olo Rishi will have the better tires at this moment. Trying to catch all the action now, but it's a bit hard with so many different drivers so close together. And Yuri is got 2-second gaps behind him, so at the moment it looks like he's going to be dropping down to about P5 with post-race penalties applied. Tonga picks up another penalty, so 9 seconds now, I believe that is, for him. Duke's got a whole full battery to play with, so unfortunately I believe that he's going to be the victim to Duke. Behind him now, Ulrich. Oh, a little bit of a tap, not able to get the momentum. And let's see the run down to the final corner. Oh, Shermanator picks up a time penalty. So he's going to want to get this move done on track. It's really hard to say where I want to be looking. And Ola Ritchie places the car very nicely indeed. Oh, and he secures P3. Is that? Yes, P2 for Ola Ritchie. Kaka finishes P3 on track. Duke with P4. Fantastic recovery for him. So Yuri finishing P5, unfortunately. Paddy P6. Alevriades P7, I'm sure he'll be incredibly happy with that finish tonight. Jan in P8 deserved a bit more. Unfortunately, he had a fantastic race. Ooh, that was a lot of action to cover there in the last couple of laps. Apologies if I didn't manage to catch all of it. But nonetheless, Spa, as usual, delivering some fantastic racing. And driver of the day is Kaka. There you have it, the steps securing P1 in Race 2 Division 1 here in Spa-Francorchamps, Belgium. Your luck is the best, Tonga. Oh, I mean, yeah, you definitely had need to work on keeping it on track with those penalties, but huge congratulations to the steps, of course, Olo Ritchie in P2, I believe it was, and Kaka with P3, so double podiums in the first 2 races for Kaka. Duke with a solid finish in P4, up from P6 where he started on the grid. Yuri, unfortunate with that time penalty. Perhaps would have wanted to box for some fresher tires. I know he would have definitely had a good run at the victory then if he would have. But Paddy, a good recovery for him considering he had wing damage early on in the race in order to finish P6. Alevriades all the way down from P13 up to P7 and so forth. But thank you very much everyone for tuning in. 4 DNFs tonight, unfortunately. Thank you very much for tuning in. Definitely got to work on a couple of things in regards to the comms. But I hope it was entertaining to say the least, and I will catch you in the next one.